Mag, the funky Daft Punk, either the best Warframe in the game or the worst depending on your playstyle. With such great abilities as Magnetize, make your enemies eat their own bullets or just give them a bigger hitbox and make funny particle effects. You can also hold the ability button and pretend like you're the mag from that trailer. Polarize, the ability that shreds enemy armor and shields, also restoring allies' shields. This ability also increases the damage of any active magnetized bubbles. Crush, the one where you smash your enemies together like your Bionicles and give everyone nearby extra shields and overshields. And pull, the get over here move that I guess it stops you from pressing W for a brief moment. With abilities like that, how could you not love or hate her? Interested? Well, just run down to Phobos and beat the Sergeant, a boss very beloved by the Warframe speedrun community. Beat the boss enough times to get all the parts, and then boom, bang, bing.
72 hours later.
Mag. Alright, so the build. Big duration, so your bubbles last longer and your polarize goes further. Big efficiency because you're going to want to refresh a bunch of abilities. Some bumped up range to make the reach of Magnetize and Crush bigger. And try not to drop your power strength below 100%, otherwise half your abilities will become useless. For aura, it's best to go with weapon amp aura since your guns are the primary source of damage anyway. You'll be decreasing a large amount of enemy shields and armor with your abilities anyway, so corrosive projection or shield disruption are not really necessary. For Exilis, I use Cunning Drift or the Funny Flower mod for that little bit of extra range. Continuity and Constitution, and Narrow-Minded for that extra duration. Stretch and Augur Reach to make up for the lack of range and bump it up even more. Streamline and Fleeting Expertise for the efficiency. And Redirection for bigger shields which you can recharge with your abilities. I don't find Flow too necessary for this build because of how high the efficiency is anyway, but you can go ahead and replace Streamline with it. I like to replace Pull since it's practically useless, even with the Vacuum Suck augment. I use Smite, and I use the Smite Infusion augment instead of Streamline for that extra radicalness. Now I haven't used any of Mag's augments because I'm just like the rest.
Tainted and ruined beyond salvation.
But I'm gonna give my 2 cents about these augments anyway. Magnetized Discharge seems a bit redundant since most of your enemies die inside the magnet bubble anyway, and bosses can't even get disarmed. Counter Pulse actually sounds pretty good for the brief second it works. Give it a try if you're in Steel Path or something and getting hit is instant kill. Fractured Crush looks like the spiciest of them all, but given the somewhat recent armor nerf, it's probably not worth using a whole mod slot for it. For Arcanes, I use Arcane Aegis to charge the shields, and Arcane Acceleration to make the funny gun shoot funnier. You can mix and match different Arcanes any way you want, of course. Now to use Mag, it's best to use Magnetize where large groups of enemies gather and shoot your funny bullets at them. Use your Polarize every time the duration's finished. And use Crush when you're surrounded by crowds of enemies and want to give everyone a nice little shield boost. For weapons, it's best to pair Mag with anything that can give you a high projectile count or high recoil as it benefits her Magnetize. AoE weapons can work pretty well too since you can herd a large amount of enemies in small spots and make them suffer together. Don't sweat it too hard for melee because Mag's pretty squishy at close range with enemies. And for extra meme value, I recommend using the Supra or the Tenet Tetra, or weapons with lots of punch through for your magnet bubbles.
Do you think you got him?